What's going on, everyone? Happy Saturday. Welcome to Season Gaming Bitcast, episode 127. Man, it's hard to believe.
I feel like we've been stuck on 127 for a while. I don't know why. It feels like we've done it like 15 times.
We haven't, but
okay,
yeah,
that's good.
I get it.
All
I
right.
think it's the nature of circumstance at this point.
Sure.
I think for all of us gamers like us, everything has stopped now until next gen starts. It's like now we're in a whole pattern, just waiting and waiting.
Yes.
Anyway, episode 127. What's going on? I'm your host, Ains Cider, Porsche Power, A-hole. There's a lot of names we can throw out there. Dan, whatever that means. Whatever that means. Dan, whatever that means.
Dan, whatever that means, Rodriguez. But you can't put the whole thing on there because it just cuts it all off because StreamYard sucks. But
that shirt color is amazing.
Dude, my wife saw it this morning and she's like, man, that shirt color is kind of doing it for me.
Nice. That's what you already won. That's what you want to hear.
I'll take it at this point. Yeah, that's a win for Dan. Then she left.
And welcoming back to the show. It's been too long since we've had him on. Everyone, all of our audience knows you, of course. But Archimedes, welcome back, sir. How you doing?
Well, thank you for having me. You are right. It's been way too long. Sorry again for bailing out. I don't know, 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago. Yeah, but I'm happy to be on the show today. Like you said, way too long, and we have some fantastic topics to talk about, so let's do that.
Yeah, a lot of big things this week, which was interesting. Before we do that, let's check in on the Archimedes ankle watch. How you doing?
It's getting way better. I can put weight on my foot again. That is really helpful when you can at least walk around the house.
That's always nice.
And last week I got the confirmation that I don't need any surgery, so excellent. I'm good.
Very good to hear. Very good. Nice. Okay. Awesome. Well, what's going on, chat? What's going on, listeners? So, yeah, we got a lot to touch on this week. So we're going to touch on, obviously, the PS5 UI design and some of the things they showed. We've got more from Digital Foundry this week on the PS5 teardown. We're going to be talking about the optimizations confirmed for Xbox Series X and S launch from Xbox this week. We had a new Cyberpunk Night City Wire. We had some deep dives on Valhalla and Borderlands 3 new content. And then I pulled up some of the actual detailed information on the Microsoft and GameStop deal that we somehow overlooked last week. But we'll circle back on that topic.
You overlooked the entire topic.
The entire topic. We didn't even touch on it last week. No. And the best part about it is I had it in the description on the video. So
that's even better. Yep.
Nailed it. But the good news is more info came out about it this week, so I can provide some further insight into what's happening there. So anyway, let's get into it. So let's start with the PS5 UI, because I think that was a big topic. It's actually something we've been rather critical of with Sony lately in not showing us more of what we can expect when we turn on the damn box or apartment, whatever you want to call the PS5. So we got the core design and layout. It definitely looks like an evolution. Mark Cerny had previously made the statement of no pixel was left untouched, which I found an interesting way to say it. I would say this is more of an evolution than a revolution, but there are some new features that look very, very cool here, and I like what I'm seeing. So let's start with the core design and layout. So we'll start here. Wait, no, that's not where we want to start. Not with
Perfect.
it. We'll start.
If we can have themes, that's what I want as my
themes.
theme.
We're gonna do a theme show. One that we.
Oh yeah.
No. I mean, the theme for the PS5. If for some reason I can get
you
him
turn
on
it
there.
on and he's looking at you.
Yeah, exactly. Or he's smelling it or whatever he's doing. That's what I want. So I'll never change it.
With him. I don't even know his name. It's a shame.
No,
All right, so let's talk on Ratchet and Clank. Not Ratchet and Clank, but the UI, which is shown here. So, as you can see, kind of a redesign. And one of the interesting things that was talked about and noticed right away is themes. So PS4 became pretty well known for having themes, especially animated themes. And one of the things I found interesting in what they showed here is that they seem to be moving away from that. From at least the design they used to have, more along where the top here is is going to be pretty much how the PS4 functions right now. And then the bottom, I guess, is where almost similar to Xbox, right? Where they're going to kind of feature things that may be relevant to you, last played things, what have you. So let me start with just the overall kind of look and feel of what you saw, and then we'll get into some of the details on the cards, activities, picture-in-picture, etc. But Archimedes, I'll start with you, man. What did you think about the video and what you saw here from Sony?
Oh, I really liked it. I always thought the UI from Sony is very minimalistic and snappy, and this one has a certain look of elegance to it. From a pure design perspective, I really liked it, and it's always hard to tell from these videos if it will feel responsive and snappy and fast, but it most definitely looks like it. So yeah, I'm up for it. I like that they blended it more into the game, because I actually never used the themes. They always seem to slow the UI down, and so I like it that the UI is now basically more an overlay of the actual game you are playing. So if you snap out of it, you still see the game in the background. I really like that, and I'm looking forward to it. It gives the console a I wouldn't say hype, but it makes it more
enticing, maybe.
Enticing, yeah. Thank you, because like you said, it's 4 weeks, 5 weeks here in Europe until we have that console, and it's getting more real by seeing the UI. So I definitely liked it.
Yeah, Dan.
Yeah, I've always said I've liked the PS4 UI because it's simple. Like Archimedes said, it's just there. It gets me where I need to go, and it gets me there quickly. I've always preferred, and even I know we make fun of the Switch, but it's so basic. But that's all I need it for. I don't need it to, do 1,000 different things and make it look, I hope this works out for him. It looks nice. I will probably miss my themes a little bit, especially my Final Fantasy VII Remake Tifa theme, which is currently gracing my TV. But it looks good. There's a lot more to it, and we'll get into that. But just from the first kind of glimpse at it, it looks really nice. As long as it performs the same way, then I'm fine with it.
Yeah. It should perform better based on what we're hearing, and we'll get to that. Let me, of course,
get it out of the way.
Yeah, get it out of the way. Send from Hassan Pampa. What's going on? What's up, everyone? Clear Stoat, Anthem 2.0. Yes.
Yeah. Hey, we saw some news, right? Yeah.
Yeah, we picture yesterday with a comment on Twitter saying that the development blog is coming soon. So we are going to actually, maybe next week, we might actually have some Anthem 2.0 news, real news to actually talk about. We'll see.
Yeah, maybe.
So I don't know, Archimedes, if the Anthem 2.0 joke was running as strong as it, back when you were last on, but it's every week.
Yeah, I listen in every week, so I'm definitely aware of that.
It's a bit ridiculous. All right, so one of the coolest thing I would say about the UI is this new feature that Sony's calling cards. And so cards are going to be things that are unique to each individual game. It is up to the developer to basically implement these things. And what it does is it's a way for the developer to highlight certain aspects of each title, certain levels even. They can tie trophies towards these things. They can do all kinds of kind of unlockables and integrated things into games based on what they want to do here. And so when you're playing a game, you can see, let me turn this banner off. You'll be able to see it a little better, actually. So right at the bottom here is what they're calling the game control center. And it's kind of like a minimized UI or UX functionality built in while you're playing a game, which allows you to see your friends and your profile and everything else. But it also allows you to access some of these other features like these cards that you're seeing on the screen. And so what they talked about with Sackboy here was, for instance, you can see on the left how it says like 33% and 60%. And those are kind of in progress adventures or specific things in the game. But then you can also have things where it'll say like, on this level, do X, Y, and Z. And if you click on the card, it'll take you directly to that level or directly to that space in the game where you can practice or do whatever you need to do to basically achieve this card unlock. And so I found this really interesting. I love stuff like this. I pointed out rather quickly, and I didn't actually even put a picture up on the stream here. But this is actually, in some ways, from a design perspective, similar to the challenge system that Xbox One launched with. That was quickly forgotten about. Only a few games really used it early on in the lifespan of the Xbox One, and they just got rid of it. But early on in the Xbox One, you had this challenge thing where individual games could have specific challenges separate from achievements, where you can do specific things in the game. However, what Sony's done here is far better integrated because it actually integrates into the game directly. And so it allows you to jump through the game and do specific things. And I really, really like this. I'm one of those suckers for like additional things you can do within games, within the UI, etc. So I loved what I was seeing here.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably never use it. I'm like the complete opposite. Like I don't achievement hunt, I don't trophy hunt unless it's a game that I'm, and these are just basically additions to that. To me, what it looks like in like little different. I have no.
So they can be tied to trophies, but they don't have to be. They could do things like unlock a skin in the game, or they could unlock a wallpaper, or different levels. They can do really whatever they want with this.
Right. Like if I accidentally get something, then great. But like this is the last thing I want while I'm playing my game is to pop this thing up and look at this stuff. I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm sure people will enjoy it, and that's fine. I don't. I'm never going to use it. I'm probably never going to use it. And if I do, it's going to be on accident. So.
I think it's funny, right? Because you and I obviously have different thoughts on this, and I think, like I said, I like the challenge system on the Xbox One. Obviously, most people didn't because they scrapped it pretty quickly. So as with most kind of add-on features, I'm going to be curious to see how many developers outside of first party actually use this.
Right, or does it get scrapped in a year?
It's like the challenge system. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's probably what's going to happen. I mean, like you said, a similar feature existed on the Xbox, and basically no developer used it, and then a feature like that dies off really quickly.
Yeah. Will you use it?
I doubt that because I'm not a trophy hunter or achievement hunter. I really don't care for those. I get why people are excited for trophies or achievements. It's just not for me. I just want to play the game. I don't want to kill a dude in a specific way just to get an achievement or collect stuff just to get the trophy. That is just not how I play games. I just want to enjoy the game the way I play it. And so, yeah, I'm probably not going to use this feature.
Okay. Cards and activities.
Cards and activities.
I mean, it's good on them for trying something new, or at least doing
evolving.
Something. Evolving a little bit. I mean, because I mean, like we said, the PlayStation UI as it stands now there's not much to it.
It drives me crazy, but that's a different topic.
Right. Yeah. And that for me, that's perfect because that's all I need. I don't need 15 different things telling me, like when your Xbox goes idle, it's like, hey, you're this much percentage away from getting this achievement. Like, I don't really care. When's the last time I played this game? Like 3 years ago, and it's still telling me this garbage. I'm just like, stop. I don't care. Tell me what friends come on or something, or, that's fine. I just don't. I think this will appeal again to the achievement hunters, to the trophy hunters, and it's a nice add-on that if it's used effectively could become fun for some people. That person is not me. So we'll see what happens.
Fair enough. So the other piece they showed of this, which I found really interesting, was the whole picture-in-picture. And I didn't pull a picture of it up here, but what they're essentially doing is allowing you to, in real time, pull up a side screen, again, similar to what Xbox did with the Snap feature that they as well got rid of. But this, again, is a little better integrated in the sense of you can pull up help videos that are integrated into a game, and you can move this box around the screen. So if it's, it's not blocking any of your view. And so they're integrated game help into this, which I found kind of interesting because nowadays it's not like it used to be where if you were stuck on a game before the internet, that you were stuck. You had to figure it out or that's it. Nowadays, it's so quick to just pull up a YouTube video on your phone next to you playing or something and figure out what you need to do. But regardless, I do again, because I like this stuff. I think that's a really neat feature, and it also allows you to do things with your friends, right? So like, say I'm playing, I don't know, Ghost of Tsushima, and Dan and I are in a party, and he's like, oh man, there's this really cool thing in Division 2 right now. I can say, well, show me. And he can share that with me, and I can see that on my screen in real time and watch him play through something, which I think is really, really cool. That's something that, just the social aspect of sharing your gaming experience, I think is really cool. There's a lot of times, even lately, some of the people in chat who I game with regularly, we'll be playing different games. And it would be so cool to just hit a button and say, hey, check this out, what I'm looking at right now, and be able to show someone that without having to like do a stream or something like that. So I really like that feature.
Go ahead, Archimedes.
Oh, I have to unmute myself if I want to start talking.
I don't usually do it. So,
no, I think that is a great feature because, like you said, I regularly meet with friends online and we just chat, but don't play a game together.
Right.
So yeah, just the other day I was playing Final Fantasy 15, and I was in a party chat with a friend from Australia, and he played another game, and having the ability to share that screen is kind of awesome because you know how it goes. You talk about everyday stuff, and then suddenly he starts screaming, "Oh fuck!" And you just you got stuck at a boss, and you just have a short look on what's going on his screen. I really think that it's a great feature.
Yeah, man, I agree with you. This is cool as hell. There's a couple ways depending on like the limits that they let you have. Because what happens when you're playing, say, Call of Duty, and then you've got your friend playing in the same team, same game. You're both down there. You're like, okay, I can see where he is, and we can you kind of strategize.
Each other?
No, you're playing with each other, right? So let's say me and you are playing Call of Duty or Sea of Thieves or something, right?
Okay.
And you're like, okay, I'm this is where I'm going to go. It'd be more for like the tactical games. I'm over here. This is my viewpoint, and you could be on the other part of the map. Or somewhere close to it, whatever. You can use it tactically, is what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Like, would be a good example.
Rainbow Six comes to mind.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know if they're going to be able to limit this stuff or not, but that kind of thing would be really, really cool. Another thing that would be cool, and this would have saved me hours and hours on end, is when I play with my buddy who is terrible at video games. I can be like, where are you at? There's so many conversations that pop up. What are you doing right now? I'm right. I'm here. I'm like, well, describe it for me, maybe, so I can get you out of where you're at. That would have saved me probably days, literal days of, getting this. Like, okay, I can see where you're at exactly. Walk straight, turn right. Now you're there. And then I'd save myself an hour. Of him just him trying to describe where he's at. So I mean, there's some cool applications you could use this for.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I think it's really cool. This is what I'd like to see this everywhere. Mostly for, like the tactical reasons, being able to use it, with each other while you're playing the same game. But, if you're just sitting there chatting with somebody, you guys are playing two different games, you pop up the screen and there you go.
Yeah. You can even just run it. Like I used to, with the snap feature on Xbox, I used to play a game and have like an NHL game going on the side. You know what I mean? Just watching my sports team, or I do that stuff all the time. So the fact that you can just pull up whatever on the side is cool. Now I don't know if you guys know. I don't think they said, but that's like a friend sharing a screen with you and giving you access to view it.
Right.
I don't know if you can just use that picture-in-picture for anything. Like you couldn't use it for, say, TV and like the Xbox One obviously did launch, but can you pull up like a YouTube video and just play YouTube next to you?
That would be awesome. Yeah. Or even can you have it there, and minimize the screen, but still have the sound, and maybe like listen to, say, some gaming podcast.
On Xbox One, you could split the sound how you wanted.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, they should do that here too. I mean,
they probably will. I would hope. Yeah.
All right. Good stuff. I'll take it.
I mean, Elu says something crazy here, like, lots of Monster Hunter highlights to share with y'all. And the nice thing is you can just block people on PSN. So,
you can just completely.
I actually reported him too. So hopefully he won't be on PSN at all soon, and I won't even have to worry about it. Much better off.
Sucker.
Anyway, the one interesting thing I did find here that Sony actually even commented on officially on their PlayStation blog was resources and memory that this takes, because anytime you're offering additional features in your UI, you're doing two things. One, you have to allocate memory to it, right, on your part of your OS and in your drive. God, sorry guys. In your solid state drive, but you're also using CPU resources to do such, right? And so if you recall back when Xbox One launched with Kinect, and we won't rehash all that, but because of the focus on the PS4 being more powerful and the big narrative that was driven back then when that launch happened, when they started to get rid of Kinect and they started to get rid of things like Snap and etc., they did that to free up more resources to give developers back for games. And so it's not substantial, right? It's not huge, but every little bit helps. And so Sony felt the need to comment to basically say, yes, resources and memory are being allocated here. Of course, now they've tried to minimize it as much as possible. But I'm definitely going to be curious as we get into the nitty gritty months after launch and Digital Foundry and all these places start to really dive in, to be curious to see what these features kind of use. And it could also be the reason why the PS5 coming with an 825 gigabyte SSD at launch, that from what we believe on the leaks is somewhere in the 620 to 660 usable space at launch, because there's additional space allocated for the OS features like this, things like quick resume, etc.
Yeah, I don't know anything about that stuff. You're talking to the wrong guy. Archimedes.
Okay, let me jump in. I find that whole discussion really funny right now. If I browse through Twitter, you see that discussion basically is the 4K versus 1080p UI and so on.
Yes, of course.
And I wasn't really sure, but I Googled it, and I was remembering it. When the Xbox One X came out, it had a 4K dashboard.
No, it didn't.
It had for like a week or two, and then a lot of complaints got in from developers because it took up 1 gigabyte extra RAM from the system. And so Xbox decided to go 1080p and give 1 gig of RAM back to the developers to use for games. That's the reason why we have a 1080p. Yeah, it's a 1080p. That's the reason why we have 1080p dashboards today on the Xbox. And to be frank, I'd rather have that on the PS5 as well, 1080p and 1 extra gig for RAM for games, because in the end, I play a lot more games on the PlayStation than staring at the UI. So that is definitely interesting, and it is definitely a thing what you have to consider when you have a nice UI and a lot of fancy features. In the end, it is always something. Everything you do takes away power from the games. So we will see how that will translate. I don't know if that 4K resolution in the UI takes up an extra gig of RAM on the PlayStation 5. It's something I can't say. I say it happened with the Xbox, and we will see about how the console will compare later.
It's going to be interesting. Yeah, especially as we know the memory bandwidth and kind of overall power already favors the Series X. That'll definitely be interesting as time goes on. That's why I said I'm kind of curious to see when the true tech wizards really get their hands on this and dive into it. I'm going to be paying attention. But yeah, the old UI debate that happened this week was, as you would expect, as ridiculous as anything else. That's
definitely Twitter. I mean, like, who the hell gives a shit? Like, what resolution the screen is to pick your games. I mean, I don't even know why it's even a debate. And to Archimedes' point, if it's pulling resources, get rid of it, because the hell is that shit? I mean, that's crazy to me that even people even care.
It's all in presentation.
Whatever. I mean, short of it being like a naked lady or something on your screen, then for me,
we're back to Tifa again.
I'm just telling you, yeah. I mean, would I like to see her in 4K? Sure. But you know what? I mean, otherwise, I don't give a crap. I mean, it's something that is so, it just doesn't need to be talked about ever. I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, that's nice, I guess, fine. And maybe down the road, they're going to, some developers are going to be like, hey, listen, we're, if it was the same way, we need that extra RAM or whatever part of it is to, kind of push our game a little bit farther. Or give it the option, just turn it to whatever you want, like all the games can. I don't know why you can't do that either. Whatever, 4K, stupid. I don't
know. Yeah. All right. So anything else on the UI, guys, before we move into Digital Foundry's kind of tear down commentary?
Maybe one last thing.
Sure.
Over the last 2 weeks, we have seen Microsoft really heavily marketing this quick resume feature.
Yeah.
I was really surprised to not see Sony mentioning that. People are assuming that it has something similar. We really don't know, because the games we have seen were all booted from scratch during that presentation. So I really wonder if the PlayStation 5 has something like that, because like you said, they have a lot of SSD space saved for buffering and the UI and everything they need. And I'm just curious to see if it has that feature.
It's a good point. Yeah, it's a good point. And I think one of the concerns is, so if you look at the Series X, right, almost 200 gigs is reserved for OS and features, including quick resume, right? And it writes those save states to the SSD. That's why you can turn the whole box off, unplug it, like they showed this week, plug it back in, and you can still jump back into your games.
Mm-hmm.
You have to wonder if the OS and the features Sony's already shown are already taken about 160 plus gigs away from an already small hard drive. Maybe they decided, hey, it's not worth using another, whatever it is, 34, I have no idea, 30, 40, 50 gigs.
I had an interesting discussion about that with a developer recently, and he made a very simple point, and it's so obvious. How much space do you need for quick resume on the SSD? Exactly the same amount as you have RAM, because you are simply dumping the RAM, whatever is in the RAM, on the SSD. Everything else is already on the SSD. You don't need extra space for that. So they are taking the RAM, dumping it on the SSD, and that's quick resume. And when you resume, you load up that data back into the RAM, and you're back again in the game.
Yes.
It's 16 gigs what you need.
Makes
for
sense.
Quick resume.
Yeah. You would have to think that Sony would have something similar. I like you said, though, it's a good point. It's being assumed, but we actually haven't seen it. So I guess we'll see.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't. I really give a crap. I gotta wait an extra 3 seconds or something to get into my game.
No, it's a lot more, because you not just consider the actual load time of the game, but you are getting back into the game at that point where you left off. And I find that really a helpful feature, because I jump a lot in between games. When I play a single player game and the buddy comes on, then we just have one match in Gears, and I jump back into my single player game, and I can pick off where I left. I don't have to load the save file, walk back to that point in the level where I was when I left the game, and so on. So it's a bit more than that.
No, it doesn't bother me though.
That's fair. That's fair. For me personally, I usually use my PlayStation for mostly single player games for the most part.
Me too.
So I'll just play one. The Xbox is honestly where I'm usually jumping between games a lot more. So, it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. Graham, thanks, man. You didn't even say anything. You gotta.
He said something later.
But thanks, Graham. Appreciate it, man. Asa, what's up, man? So he's talking about they can already mimic the PS4 and allow resume from low power mode. Yeah, so they may just take a different approach, which is what Ace is commenting on as well. So anyway, all right, let's talk about Digital Foundry's kind of teardown analysis. Now, this is another thing that caught people this week in talking about it, is we basically, all it was, because Digital Foundry does not have a PS5, they basically just made a video over Sony's video of the teardown. And talk through what they were seeing. based on what was shown. And we don't have to stay on this long. Just a couple points I wanted to talk about is, first, they noted that the design itself is what they referred to, and I think people took this the wrong way, of course, typical, right? Running with something, but he called it almost Toyota-like.
Hilarious.
And what he meant by that, of course, people are like, "Oh, it's a piece of shit." No, that's
fucking. Let me tell you something about Toyota or Hondas, for that matter.
Reliable.
They're reliable sons of bitches. Right?
So
that's insane.
That's actually what Richard was trying to refer to. It that it's not that it's overly cheap. It's that there was a focus on cost. Yes, that's clear, but that the design itself is much more traditional. Right? You have your flat motherboard, everything we've talked about. Your flat motherboard, fans here, vents here. It's a heat sink. It's a massive freaking heat sink, but heat sink. Whereas compared to the Series X is much more kind of new and bespoke, maybe would be a good word to use. And so I just found it interesting. The other thing he pointed out, we were talking offline about this, is the expansion port for the SSD. Kind of trying to figure out how that's cooled, because there doesn't look to be space for a heatsink or any direct cooling to that slot. So how is that SSD being cooled? Obviously, it's something Sony engineers would have thought of, just more curious about how it's being done. And so just things like that. They did comment on the liquid cooling, which they said is a very advanced kind of way to approach the heat of the sock. And then I think that's really about it. But I just found it interesting that he commented, about how, from a engineering standpoint, and we talked about this a little last week because Albert Pinello commented on it, but that the Series X really looks to be, they really went up and over the top with the Series X. So I think if nothing else, it'll be interesting long term into the generation to see if reliability has a factor in either of the console designs.
Yeah, definitely. I was in another podcast probably 2 hours after that video dropped from Sony. And I repeat my initial thought on this, and basically Digital Foundry had, I think, similar phrasing. I called it, it's a brute force engineering approach.
Yes.
It's what I do with my team as well. If we have no time or want to be overly cautious with something, we just make everything big. You make big heat sinks, you make big PCBs, you make everything big, and then you're safe. And that is just the way how this console design looked to me when I saw it. It seems that Microsoft has given it a lot more thought, and are probably going to take a little bit more risk here. But then on the other hand, I trust both of these engineering teams. I mean, it's always funny if I see people on Twitter judging an engineering team consisting of hundreds of very smart engineers in their decision. That is always funny to me. I just find it interesting to see how different the approaches from both of these companies are in how they engineered it. And maybe one last thing. On this whole liquid cooling thing, the liquid metal cooling. I've been working with liquid metal for years. It is the best thermal paste you can get out there. It's nothing more than that. It sounds so fancy, but it's actually just a thermal paste. I would really like to give the engineers a call, because all the liquid metal we use has a very limited lifetime, shelf lifetime. It basically loses its thermal conductivity after a few years. And I'm really sure that they thought of that, and I'd like to know which kind of liquid metal they are using, because we could learn probably a thing or two.
Yeah, they did. That was one of the concerns. Exactly what you said is that it's the best you can get, but it has a limited shelf life, right? It starts to deteriorate over time. And so Sony did comment that they've experimented with this for a few years now. But it is interesting to think, a few years, again, not questioning these engineers, but we talked last week about consoles like I can plug in my Sega Genesis and it'll work right away. without even a thought, and it's 30 years old. What is the PS5 going to be like in 5, 10, 15 years? Not that that's a big concern for us right now, but it's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. Like you said, I regularly play my Super Nintendo, so my original Super Nintendo, and it still works. And that's just an interesting thought. I don't think we run into trouble during the lifetime of the console. No way. They are definitely made sure of that. It's just like you said for retro consoles. Yeah, when we are at the PlayStation 8 or something, yeah, will then the PlayStation 5 still work?
Yeah, it's interesting, and I think that's probably more the nature of what you and I get into sometimes from a work perspective. It's the curiosity, right? I'm just curious to learn more about it. Dan, liquid cooling expert, what do you got?
Yeah, I got nada. Nada. I'm with you guys. I'm assuming that these guys are smarter than us. So
you don't have to assume.
Yeah,
they are.
Yeah, they are. So they probably know what they're doing. But I remember Sony saying something about the SSDs, the expandable storage, and that they couldn't have their own heat sink. So I'm assuming they got either something blowing in there, or it's getting cooled by the case, or something to that effect. But I'm not a huge tech guy, so I don't really know exactly what's happening. Yeah, we'll see what happens. As long as it doesn't explode, I don't care.
Diego's in the house, and he said it is the same liquid metal they used on Terminator 2. So that's fair.
It should be fine.
And that's a movie, by the way. At least get it right if you're going to quote it. It's the T1000. All right. No.
Okay. I'm just calling Hollywood then and ask them what they were using.
The original was the T800, so you were right.
Yes. There you go. That's right. Mm-hmm. Arnold's getting old now.
Yeah.
All right. Richard was very clear that they were only commenting on what they could see. And they hope to have a PS5 soon to really do their own kind of full-on breakdown of it. So cool. Nice. All right, man. So on the flip side, on the Xbox side, they this week they talked about a few things. As you said, their demo quick resume, and kind of they let up the embargo of kind of all the influencer sites, etc., that have a Series X, and basically they could say whatever they want. So we kind of got the full breakdown of people's thoughts on the Series X this week. And then they also detailed the optimizations that'll be coming at launch. So, a few things to call out here and what you can expect from the Series X and S launch. Because we've talked before around with Halo being delayed, and then putting a lot of eggs in that basket, that they're really going to focus on Gears 5 and Tactics, and then a lot of third-party stuff. And so what we found out this week is that Valhalla and Legion, which we knew, are getting their enhancements for launch on the 10th. Borderlands 3 is now also getting its full next-gen enhancement by the 10th, which is going to be 4K, 60 FPS with some other features on console. And it's getting a season 2, which we'll talk about. So there's going to be new content on Borderlands. Yakuza and Falconeer and a few of those other games that are going to be kind of timed exclusives or full exclusives are going to be optimized at launch. And then Destiny 2, which is getting its Beyond Light expansion on November 10th, is going to be next-gen optimized on December 8th. So a little less than a month after launch is when that's coming. And that as well is going to be 4K 60 with a FOV slider and everything. So pretty cool. The other thing they talked about, and we can kind of cover all this at once, guys, but the other thing they talked about is their backwards compatibility. So they're using enhanced filtering on 360 and Xbox games. I know, Dan, you and I talked about some of this. And their auto HDR feature, which I think is freaking amazing, where they're basically adding HDR to any game that wasn't originally designed for it without any developer input. So long story short, this is kind of what we assumed, right? Xbox is really going for the whole kind of broad approach of play all your games better. But there's no really huge singular AAA experience that you're going to get on day one.
Well, I mean, Valhalla, I guess, should be probably.
I should have said exclusive experience.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So no first party. That's fine. It's still weird. When you come into a console launch and don't have anything to launch with your, with your system, but it's so different now than it was, 6-7 years ago. So it's just the way the industry, I think, is, and you can rely on those third-party games because these are huge games. With Cyberpunk releasing a week afterwards, I mean, there's really not a huge need for it, especially when you're able to give players, upgrades to all of their, existing games,
Yep.
which is amazing. As far as, I mean, it's a question I was going to pose to you guys, like which game will you guys be playing first? Like the first game that you launch on your X or your PlayStation 5?
Yeah.
Because like part of me, when I get that new, like when I got the One X, it was like, okay, I'm going to go back and play all these other games.
Yeah, I did the same thing.
And see what they look like. Now for this one, I don't know if I'll do that right off the bat, like maybe down the road a little bit.
You're going to be playing Yakuza. Don't worry about it.
No, it's not happening. I'm going to stick to my guns on that one. For me, it's going to be probably like Valhalla, because I got to do the review, but also because I'm really super excited about that game. And then for the PS5, it'll be Spider-Man for sure, because I have to. But I mean, this is great. I mean, we got enough. I mean, if you're complaining about the amount of stuff to play on launch, then you're never going to be happy ever. So just go back and be sad in your little basement.
So it's a good question though. Archimedes, what on Series? Are you getting a Series X and PS5 at launch?
Yes. I was lucky enough to pre-order a Series X right away. I know a lot of people had problems with crashed websites and so on. I wasn't able to secure a PS5 in the first wave because they stealth dropped these pre-orders in the middle of the night. It was 2 a.m.
Like 2 a.m. Yeah, that's terrible.
It was 2 a.m. in Germany. And it was a funny story, actually. When I woke up, I had like 10 missed calls on my phone because a good friend of mine, he woke up in the middle of the night and went to the toilet and checked his phone and saw that the pre-orders are up, and he tried to call me, but I was asleep. Okay, but I was lucky enough to secure one in the second wave. So yeah, I'll have the luck to have both on day one, and I'm just like Dan. I'm PlayStation 5. It's going to be Spider-Man, Miles Morales, definitely.
Okay.
So looking forward to it. I actually want to play also Demon's Souls on that, but I have to postpone that because you need to have patience with that game. And in that week, I won't be patient because, the PS5 comes out 1 week later than in the US. So it will launch.
That's right.
Yeah, it will launch here on 19th. And you know what game is dropping on 19th?
A little game.
So I don't have the patience for Demon's Souls. But and on the Xbox, it's going to be Valhalla, definitely. And then I'm also looking forward to replay a couple of games. I want to see how Gears 5 runs on the Series X. I will also go back and play some of the 360 games, definitely Halo 3. I want to see how that game runs on the Series X, but it's mainly going to be Valhalla for me.
So yeah, I think for me, it's going to be Valhalla. It just seems like it launches that day. It's already optimized for Series X. There's a focus on the marketing aspect. Like that's going to be the showcase, I think. And we saw it running on PC this week, and it looks absolutely stunning. So if it if it matches even 80% or whatever, 90% of what that PC build is on Series X, then I think we're all going to be in for a treat. Now, for me, on the PS5, because it does launch on the 10th here, I'm all Demon's Souls. I'm not a Spider-Man fan, so the Demon's Souls and Sackboy are the two games I'm getting with the PS5 at launch. Demon's Souls, I'm actually going to stream live that night and kind of enjoy it together with some friends in the community. So that should be real fun. But I plan to die a lot.
Yeah.
Comes
out on the 12th, right?
Comes out at launch, on the 12th. Yep.
Okay, so it's 10th. You said 10th with the.
Oh, PS5. I'm sorry. Yeah. Sorry. 12th for PS5. But yeah, Demon's Souls I did play. I still have my original copy from the PS3. It's one I never did beat. And obviously that was how many years ago now? So I'm literally, outside of having played all the Souls games and know that kind of methodology and how you approach them, I'm not going to know where anything is, what's coming, the boss is. So should be a fun ride.
Oh, definitely. It's a fun game, but I'll be playing that probably over the Christmas break or something when I'm done with Cyberpunk and Valhalla.
I don't blame you. If it was coming out a week later, because once the 19th hits, and we're going to talk about Cyberpunk here shortly, but once that hits, everything else gets put by the wayside. 100%.
Definitely. It's probably also will affect my playthrough with Spider-Man. I'm probably just going to boot that up for a couple of hours and then go back to Cyberpunk.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
So on Gears, you mentioned, I wanted to bring that up because Colin Penty, who's one of the lead designers at Coalition, posted yesterday and kind of commented on this and was nice enough to respond to me. And what he pointed out, this screenshot got a lot of play yesterday on Twitter. And what he pointed out was that, on Xbox One X, the game does run at 4K, right? But there's a difference, as we keep saying, and I know Archimedes, you commented on this as well. There's a very big difference in the resolution of that the game itself is running in and all the core assets that are built into the game. And what he pointed out was that the assets on Xbox One are actually 2K assets, 1080p, whereas the assets that are going to be used for Series X are the full 4K. So Gears 5 on Series X will be full 4K, ultra settings, everything just like PC, with a higher particle count, 50% higher particle count than PC Ultra, and it'll run at 4K 60 with those settings, which is incredibly, incredibly impressive. Because if you look at the benchmarks for this title, an equivalent CPU with a 2080 Ti runs Gears 5 at 4K and around 56 to 57 FPS. So the fact that they're hitting 4K 60 and ultra native 4K at launch for the Series X is incredibly impressive to me.
You see, I think that's part of that is benefiting, since it's a first party game and they've got access to that hardware, obviously.
Yeah, they talked about it months ago, right?
Yeah, it looks really good. And I've always said, graphics will always trump resolution. You can look at a game like God of War and, run it on a regular standard PlayStation. It looks amazing compared to some of the other games that they release. So, this is going to be awesome. I'm not a huge Gears guy, though, so I probably won't.
We still kind of like you despite that. It's okay.
I played this
a little less.
A little less.
Fine. I'm okay with that. But I'll probably this is gonna be one of those games where I pop in for 20-30 minutes to kind of see what it looks like and maybe play through a level or two and then kind of bounce out. But I'm glad that they're doing it. And it'll affect the multiplayer too, and it'll
120 frames there.
It's nuts.
I know.
Nuts.
So I think did they say it's not 4K? I don't know if it's dynamic or if it's 1080 120. I can't remember.
It's dynamic 120.
Yep.
Okay.
And it's 1080 on the Series S and 120 frames.
Yes, that's correct. Right. Yeah, which is amazing in itself. That's awesome.
$300 machine running a game like that at 120 frames per second. Incredible.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked a few weeks ago, Archimedes, just the sheer fact of value for that. So how much is the in euros where you are? How much is the Series S over there?
It's $299. We have basically the same prices in euros, like in the US, except for game prices. We were already at 70 euros for game prices, and on the Sony side, it increased now to 80 euros.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot because for people in the US, if you're not familiar doing that conversion, I don't know what it is today, Archimedes. But
around about $85 US dollars.
Yeah, I was going to say. So $85 for PS5 games in Germany and probably several European countries.
Yeah,
I saw
almost
Australia
everywhere on Europe,
too.
Except UK.
Yeah. So pretty crazy. But anyway, back to the value of the Series S still is like, the CPUs that you can buy if you're building a PC are, $250-ish. Yeah. You know what I mean? Just for the CPU.
Just the CPU.
It's crazy. So anyway, very cool. So Pampa, $5 super chat, Mr. Footlong. Love it. Thank you, Pampa. Cyberpunk or Demon Souls? Yeah, I phrased it that way on purpose. Don't worry about it. Do or die, make your choice. There's no choice to be made here. Demon Souls would be thrown into the bushes.
Wow.
Yeah, there's no choice to be made. Cyberpunk above all.
Dude,
as for Archimedes would say, Cyberpunk uber alles.
Uber alles.
Definitely Cyberpunk.
Like that game has been like on the radar for us for sure for so long, ever since that first CGI trailer, for me anyway, where the girl was in the middle of the street and, you remember that one, the really, really old one?
Oh yeah, the original.
Yeah,
that was it's like 6 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, I have been super pumped, just for anything ever since then. So it's going to be one of those, I was thinking the other day, I was like, man, I wonder what, how the game of the year is going to turn out for me personally. And like, it's got to step its game up. I want it to be really, really good. My hype levels for it are so high.
Yeah.
Now, that's the worst thing I probably could have done was,
so would you say right now for you, it's Ghost?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. And Spider-Man may be in that conversation.
It might be, but I don't know. Honestly, but I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. But Cyberpunk,
I mean, it shouldn't be, but it might be for you.
Well, it's like Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah, it is like Sunset Overdrive. That's
exactly point. That's the point I'm trying to make you. It goes both ways, you moron. So anyway, it's one of those things where I'm like, it's gonna be so good, and if it's not, I'm gonna be super, super disappointed. You know what I mean? Like we've hyped it up to that level where it's just like this has got to be good.
Well, I think our problem is we know how good Witcher 3 is, right? And I think in all of our heads, we're thinking this is 5 years later, that it should be steps and steps above what we consider the greatest game of the generation or all time. I think our expectations are quite high.
No, they're huge.
Yeah.
Huge.
They are.
Are you Archimedes? You the same way with Cyberpunk? Just ridiculous, like everything stops when that game releases?
Oh, definitely. I've taken a day off from work for that game. I can't wait to play it. My only complaint is really, why are the next gen patches not ready for launch?
I know.
Dude, that is neither on the PS5 nor on the Xbox. We have that patch, and it just kind of feels weird that we get that game now on the new hardware that can do ray tracing and so on, and they have those assets ready because the PC version gets all that stuff day one. Yeah, so why can't they make it work on the Xbox or PlayStation?
Crunch.
I know, it's killing me because my PC can do ray tracing, at least somewhat.
Yeah,
it's capable. And so I have the ultra wide, and I keep going back and forth on, do I want to play it on PC as well and just see? And I don't know. But at the same time, it looks like a game above many others due to the cyberpunk design of it, of the aesthetic that will benefit from being on an OLED, right? Because of the colors and the HDR. And most PC monitors don't really support that.
And we still get the frame rates. On the new consoles. So
we'll see. Going back to the price conversation, Graham, thanks, man. You could have put this in chat, dude. I don't want you to keep having to pay super chats, but I appreciate it. So in Canada, they're paying $90 plus 13% tax.
Jeez, man.
That's brutal.
It's just under $100. That's crazy to me.
Yeah, it's
over
really,
$100.
Yeah. I've said it before on Twitter, and I got a lot of flack for it. But with 80 euros, I'm really at a threshold right now where it's kind of starts to bother me. Because Microsoft, on the other hand, is making gaming cheaper than ever before with Game Pass. Yeah. And now 80 euros is really a lot of money for a game. And you have to really think about, is it worth that game on day one, or do I just wait for a sale or something? Because it's a lot of money.
Yeah. It's nuts, man.
That's crazy.
I mean, I'll buy everything still, but it doesn't really,
Yeah, I know. I'm a hypocrite. I'm complaining right now. I've pre-ordered it. I'll get Spider-Man, Demon Souls, everything.
Yeah, it sucks, but they've got us by the short hairs, because what are we going to do, right? I mean,
yeah, right.
It's not like we're going to go, well, I'm going to stand my ground for an extra $10. You can say it. It sucks. We all agree it sucks, but also I really want to play the game. So
yeah,
exactly.
That's they know what they're doing.
Marion, thanks for stopping by, brother. Appreciate it. Yeah, I think the part of the problem too. We've all gotten a little spoiled, right? We're all used to, well, not all. That's not fair at all. But I think part of like us and some of our audience have gotten used to just having all these games and having easy ways to access them. Game Pass, as you just said, is obviously the best value right now, but there's been other deals. You could usually get games, even new or shortly after release for $50+ or 50+ euros or even 60 euros. But once you start getting up into the 80s and 90s, it's a different conversation. So it's tough. All right. So where the hell were we? The auto HDR. I just want to touch on that really quick. This is really, really cool. So you have essentially with the Xbox One X, if you go back and play original Xbox or Xbox 360 games, there's a lot of features, right? They're increasing texture resolution. They're using the anisotropic filtering at 4 times. And then they're doing the, it just looks a lot better. Like you've ever gone back and played Red Dead Redemption, the first one, on your 360, then loaded up on your One X. There's a huge difference. But what's really neat about the Series X is they're taking that to the next level, and what they're doing is 16 times. Basically, the best filtering is just more processing power, right? And they're doing auto HDR, like I said, with no developer input. So they showed a couple sample images of like the color kind of pop or demonstration of what it looks like, and it just looks great. And I think even if when people say I don't want to play old games, I just want to backhand them. Because you're missing the point, right? The beauty of what Microsoft is really doing here with their engineering teams is they're preserving game libraries and just your games that you've been playing for 20+ years. And, someday you may want to go back and play that, even if you don't today. Someday you may want to go back and say to your kids, here, check out this game. This was the best game, in 10 years, 15 years, Witcher 3 is going to sound like an ancient memory. You know what I mean? And it'd be cool to say at the time, this game blew everyone away, or Cyberpunk for that matter. So I just wanted to applaud and just say, I think it's really cool that they continue to press forward on optimizing your game libraries as they exist today, because of course, all of that stuff carries forward, right? So it means the games we're buying today, 10 years from now will be, preserved and running strong. And I think that's really cool.
Yeah, man. I mean, when you don't have to put anything else on the devs, when you can just do it at a hardware level, fantastic. And it's good for us because it gives us that little boost, regardless of how it could be minor, but it's always going to be better, and great. I want to get my money's worth, right, when I buy this thing. So that's important to have, not only that my current library transfers over without much of an issue, but also that it's improved on regardless. I mean, maybe that's not every single game, maybe there's some issues with certain things, but for the most part, that's an important thing. It's just because you're investing so much now, just getting done talking about this, extra $10, extra $20 here and there. You want these things to, retain their value. And the only way that you can do that really is either keeping the console that you have or, having it come with you to the next one. So this is great. I'm fine with it. I don't understand any of the numbers that you said. So it's going to look nicer. I heard that.
Yeah.
So
look nicer. Yep. That's it.
There you go. That's all that matters.
Yeah. Better frame rates too. Which is a big thing.
Something. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Graham, have a good day, man. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for the super chats. I see Mike's in the house. Shout out to Next Level Gaming. We don't need any Amico talk at this moment though, Diego. Stop it.
Wait, I watched that show. I'm gonna just a quick shout out.
Was it last week?
Excited for it. Yeah. Well, yeah. Tommy on there. Yeah. It looks awesome.
Oh no, I was talking. Amico did their actual presentation on.
No, Mike had Tommy. On Thursday. Yeah, thank you. I'm kind of excited to get one of these things now. I don't know why. The thing looks sleek as hell. Just quick shout out.
Mike did it. He got you. He pulled you in.
Yep, he sure did. And it's. I know he's been talking about it forever. It looks freaking awesome. And now I'm gonna have to buy one. So.
Nice. Archimedes, going back to the normal topic. What are we talking about? Thoughts on the Xbox's focus on continuing to push on backwards compatibility and game preservation.
Yeah, I think it's amazing. Of course, I don't go back and play all my, I think, close to 400 games I have now on the Xbox. In my digital library, at least. Of course, I'm not going to play all these 400 games, but there are certain games I'm going back to on a regular basis. Just this summer, I did another playthrough of KOTOR 2, for instance.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I mentioned it earlier. I once a year turn on my Super Nintendo and play through Secret of Evermore, one of my all-time favorite games. Yeah. So there are just some games that have a certain nostalgia to it, and going back to those and replaying them now in a better version is just amazing. And the other thing is, of course, especially in the first year or two of the console lifetime, I still have a huge backlog from the Xbox One now and PlayStation 5 as well. And just being able to play those games on the next console in a better version without having a patch released is just, I love it.
Yeah, very well said. So, all right, very cool. So let's we've touched on Cyberpunk multiple times. Let's get over to it. So Cyberpunk, we got Night City Wire episode 4 this week, where the focus was really two things: customization on characters and both your V character and the characters that you'll meet in the world. And then the heavy focus was on vehicles. So they did a breakdown of different vehicles, different attributes of those vehicles, how they can be used in different ways, motorcycles, all of these things. And we'll touch on the hot Porsche in a second. But, from Night City Wire, what did you guys think here? Archimedes, I'll start with you because I know we've talked cars before. Did you like what you saw here?
Oh, yes, I did. Dude, I'm so hyped for that game. The more I see, the more I feel like I really need a second day of work because it just looks amazing. The details they implemented in those games on all levels, not just the graphics, but also what you can do, the mechanics, the character customization, vehicle customization, everything. It just sounds so incredible. Man, I'm going to put in 200 plus hours into that game.
Yeah, easy.
Yeah,
no question. I mean, we talked about it just a little bit earlier. I mean, it when the news released, like that's the first message I got. It's like, oh my god, this game, from Ains. As soon as they released that Porsche,
let's get it. Let's get it.
It looks so good. I mean, it looks so good. It looks like the controller almost.
Yeah.
I'm. God, that looks good. It just looks like looking at the screen. You're just like, man.
And this kind of detail in an open world game, and probably one of the biggest open world games ever built. This is just amazing.
Yeah, it's incredible. Now, of course, probably what we're seeing running, and is obviously top tier PC, I'm sure. But if you saw some of the, like the video that it showed of driving through the city in the vehicles, and especially at high rates of speed, did you notice when they went to first person driving, like even on the motorcycle? I mean, it just looks stunning. Like everything we see from this game looks stunning.
And I don't think that even though you're right, this is probably a very high-end PC, ultra settings here, but I don't think that the level of detail will be that much different on the new consoles, because the new consoles are basically very high-end PCs, yeah. So I don't think the delta will be that big.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, this game was built to run on the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Exactly, and the base versions.
The base versions. Yeah. So, and we saw, obviously it's not a graphical showcase if you really zoom in on things, but this is the same developer that put Witcher 3 on the Switch. So they're wizards over there. We're just going to let them do their thing. But God, I could go on. We may have to have a Night City Wire Bitcast, because we're going to have to talk about this game for a couple hours after it releases, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, it's going to be in March.
Okay, you're well, absolutely.
Yeah,
in March.
By the time you finish it, because I'll be done by the end of the year.
Yeah, March is aggressive. Slow down.
Yeah, March of 2023.
So I can't wait. And we're recording here on the 17th, guys. We are 32 days away. 32 days.
Crazy.
So just over 4 weeks, which also means we're 3 weeks away from the Series X.
Yeah,
3 weeks, man.
It's nuts. I mean, it's almost here. Just over 3 weeks. All right. We also got, and I didn't watch a lot of this, so if you did, feel free to comment more. But we got a deeper dive on Valhalla this week too. We got a deep dive on the world. We got a interview with the narrative director who talked about the thought process and the design of obviously the Vikings and the historical period. And they showed obviously a lot of new screens and stuff too. So I'll pull some of those up. But did either of you watch some of these videos? I didn't, only because I've really gone dark on that game. I just, at this point, I want to experience it when I get it.
That's kind of where I'm at too. Yeah.
Oh, I watched it multiple times.
Oh, good.
Yeah, at least
first, I watched it on my phone. And I thought, oh, this looks so good. I have to watch it on the big screen. And I watched it on on my 4K TV. It looks amazing. And then I thought, I need to capture this trailer to use it in one of my videos. And so I had to watch it a third time while capturing it. It's actually good, and it doesn't spoil anything, so you're good to go to watch it.
Okay.
But it explains a little bit in how they will set up the world, and in how they will tell the story. They don't tell anything about the story, but just the way how they will tell that, and what your choices will do. And there are just some beautiful shots in there. And
yeah, I'm pulling some of them up now. I love this one. I was oh man, it looks amazing. But I mean, some of the open imagery they showed, right, riding towards Stonehenge,
incredible. And and what really surprised me is the step that they have taken from its initial showing back in May, when we had the Xbox event, and we had that first. Well, it wasn't really a gameplay trailer, but an in-game trailer. And if you compare that to the level here that is shown in this trailer now, and probably in the final product, then it's amazing, because there are really big steps made by them. And I had an interesting comment on Twitter from someone when I posted how good this trailer looks compared to the one in May.
Right.
And I haven't thought about it, but he compared it to Halo. So if Halo can make the same step from its initial showing to the final product, we are in for a treat.
Yeah, I've said before, I think people are going to be biting their tongue when Halo actually releases. Because if you haven't played even Halo 4 or Halo 5 on just the 1X, you have no idea how talented those guys are. But as we like to say around here, there's no need to be upset.
Nope.
But yeah, these screenshots look incredible. I'm super pumped for the game, knowing that you said it kind of just sets up the narrative and some other things. Maybe I'll check it out. I was trying to go dark on it, but I am curious. So, Dan, I don't know about you.
I heard some people talking about it, saying that it's almost more Dragon Age as far as the RPG. So there looks like they're kind of going towards that, even more so than they did with Odyssey. With like this, just
I'm down with it.
With all the RPG mechanics and stuff like that. So, I mean, I'm fine with it as long as they lose the action, because that's kind of one of my big things. I mean, that's Assassin's Creed, really. You want to be able to get out there and, you don't want it to be turn-based like some stupid freaking games decide they want to just completely change their whole, gameplay loop.
No, Final Fantasy's remake, it's ridiculous.
That's even better. They actually went and made it better than the other.
How do you know Yakuza's not better?
Because turn-based sucks. It sucks ass.
Agreed.
I mean, you know what? We were talking about that. I almost want to say something real quick. It's always been a balance with that game, with like the kookiness and like the seriousness of the actual main story.
Yeah.
I think they passed that my threshold a little bit. Like I was always like, hey, it's right there. It's a nice balance. Now it just looks ridiculous. Now you risk having this very serious story that is, but the next second, like somebody dies in your arms. The next 2 minutes, you're fighting somebody with a chicken and shoving it up their butt or something. You lose all the, credibility of the story. That and the turn-based stuff just drives me crazy. That's one of those games that when it eventually comes to Game Pass, because I guarantee it will. I mean, you can, maybe not guarantee it'll come to Game Pass, probably in a year or something. I don't care. I'll try it out. But damn, man. Damn. One of my favorite series. 10th, right? Yeah, no, I'm not playing it then. There's plenty of other stuff to play on that game.
By the way, I saw Bomber said in chat that both Valhalla and Cyberpunk were shown running on a 3090 GPU. So should be surprising. Yeah, not surprising. You got us all off. Where are we going with this Yakuza thing? You done yet?
Yeah, I'm done. But Valhalla looks good. I'm going to play it. I'm going to review it. That's all.
Yeah, so you're doing the review on Valhalla. I'm doing the review on Cyberpunk. I don't know why I volunteered to do that.
Thank God.
Because that's a monumental task. So look for that review in 2024. But anyway, so Borderlands 3, wanted to touch on this just real quick. So interesting thing from Borderlands 3, we already said that their next-gen upgrade is coming at launch on November 10th, at least with Series X, and will be there on PS5 on November 12th and 19th. But they also announced the Season Pass 2, which I thought was a little kind of crazy. Yeah, they didn't talk about how much it's going to be. But they said that it's 2 parts, basically. The first part of this is going to be what they call the Designer's Cut, which is going to include new skill trees for the characters, which is interesting, right? Because that means whole new builds and ways to use the characters, along with a new mode called Arms Race, which they said they would have more to share on that in the coming weeks. So there's a Twitch schedule that they've put out that they're going to show on their channel over the next few weeks leading up to launch. So you can find that schedule on our site on the Borderlands 3 Season Pass 2. Gosh, Borderlands 3 Season Pass 2 article. That's on there if you want to see it. But I thought this was pretty neat. And they said that in spring, they're going to have Borderlands 3 Director's Cut, which I guess will be kind of their final all-up package, which has everything included and some new stuff. So any interest in this, guys? I still haven't played all the expansions.
Yeah, I still haven't played them all either. It's great. And another season pass is fine. I'm good with that. But it's one of those games that, I love Borderlands 3, but like after, you almost have to kind of make room for it with all this other stuff coming out. It's I finished one expansion, I think, and I'm like halfway through the Halloween one, or whatever the scary one was. I can't remember what the heck it was. The one with the second one, where I can't remember what the hell it was called though. Who knows? Leo in chat.
I was gonna say Leo now.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's always good. It's always a solid game. It's between everything else, it's gonna be hard for me to jump back into it. I'm curious of what they come out with though for the next season pass. That might be something to get me into it a little bit more. And I do want to do the Craig thing. So
yeah, I want to see what Arms Race is. But new skill trees are big. It completely changed the gameplay for all 4 characters and the way you loot hunt and other things too. So, Archimedes, you Borderlands fan?
Oh yeah, I am. But I haven't played the expansions yet. I finished the main game.
Yeah.
But I didn't find the chance to dive into the expansions. And after I read that the game will run at 60 FPS on the Series X, I'm definitely going to wait because I always thought that this game really suffered from its poor frame rates on the Xbox. At least at launch when I played it. I don't know whether it got patched and it is now locked at 30, but it was really dipping hard in frame rates in my main playthrough. That's why I actually never went back to the expansions so far.
Yeah, I got you. So, yeah, Leo had a few comments here. It was Guns, Love, and Tentacles was the third expansion, right?
Yep. Was that the third one?
I thought so.
What the hell did I skip?
Second? I don't know. Well, Leo is probably banging his head against the wall right now. We're like, we don't know. Bomber said it's Leo's most anticipated title for next gen. I also made the mistake of saying, and I think Mo and I are going to try and do this, jump into it, is, when Destiny 2 gets its next gen enhancement on December 8th with the 60 FPS, 4K, and all that. Plus, remember, it and all the expansions will be, including the new one, will be in Game Pass. I made the mistake of saying I'm going to try jumping back into that and seeing how that goes. So,
dumbass.
Yeah, I know. We'll see. Oh, that's 2 weeks after Cyberpunk, so who knows if that's actually going to happen. We'll see.
I will definitely go back to Destiny 2.
Yeah, you played a lot?
I do. I'm not the most extensive player probably, but I have played every expansion. Then I level always my Guardian with some strikes and so on to a certain level. Then I just leave the game for a couple of months till the next expansion comes out. But I really do enjoy Destiny. It has a fantastic shooting mechanic. It just feels really good. I like that the strikes have a fantastic matchmaking system. I think that is unmatched in any game, that you just can do these co-op missions without having to use a headset and talk to people you don't know. I love that. It's a fun game.
Cool. Yeah, I am looking forward to getting back into it. I hope the loot has improved substantially since I last played it. I don't really like the loot design in that game, but we'll see. If nothing else, it'll be fun to play. Like you said, the mechanics are really strong, which is Bungie always nails. And I think, really seeing that in 4K 60, a lot, it's like we've been talking about, a lot of these games going back to 4K 60 are just, doubling frame rate. It's going to be a lot of fun to revisit them.
Absolutely.
So Leo cleared us up here. So Handsome Jackpot was the first DLC. I did play that one.
Yep, I finished that one. Yep.
Then Guns, Love, and Tentacles was the second. Bounty of Blood was the third one, which was the Wild West one, right? The new town and everything. And then obviously the newest one.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
No, then there's the Craig one. So there's 4. Yeah, okay.
Yep.
Gotcha.
There's four in the original season pass, which I got because of the collector's edition and all that. Yep. So.
Yep.
All right. So we didn't touch on this last week. I wanted to touch on it because I think it is notable and it's worth kind of discussing a little bit. And that is this Microsoft and GameStop deal. So this was really interesting when it was announced. GameStop has been hemorrhaging money for a while now. They had previously announced another closure of 400 stores in the U.S. earlier this year, or a few months ago, I should say. And then obviously their future was really kind of uncertain. So it was a pretty big surprise to see Microsoft, of all companies, kind of reach out and come to this agreement. But as we've learned more about it, it's become definitely something to, that I think is rather unique. So what Microsoft essentially said here is that, GameStop obviously has a very big store base, especially in the US. And they can use that to, essentially have GameStop help get people into the Xbox ecosystem. And Dan, I found it funny. If you actually read this press release, the people from Xbox and even Phil Spencer this week said multiple times the word ecosystem. And I was like, yes, it's coming. Everyone's finally jumping on the ecosystem train. Archimedes, I've been saying the word ecosystem is the most important word for like a while now. And to hear other people starting to say it is cracking me up. So #ecosystem. Yeah. But it's true, right? Xbox is much more focused on getting people into, again, the ecosystem, getting them to be a Game Pass subscriber, getting them just playing games, whether it's on PC, whether it's on mobile with xCloud, whether it's on Xbox, getting them to play Xbox games. And so they're basically looking at GameStop as a mechanism to do that because of their user base and their reach, right? And of course, helping sell Series X consoles and Series S consoles is part of that equation as well. What we found out this week is that GameStop is going to be incentivized to do that. And so one of the industry analysts that broke it down said, for example, if a customer signs up for $15 monthly Game Pass Ultimate at GameStop, they could expect GameStop to receive $1.50 from that monthly revenue stream for as long as the customer continues to subscribe. Same goes for things like All Access or any basically long-term thing that they get a cut of. And so this has the capability, depending on obviously volume, to supplement GameStop's revenue stream with potentially tens or hundreds of millions of dollars, which for a company like GameStop, which has been losing money hand over fist, is substantial. So I don't know what you guys think about this. It does seem a little weird to me in the sense of when you go to a GameStop, they sell all consoles, right? All platforms, you can buy anything. It feels kind of weird that a store like that would be incentivized to sell Xbox stuff. Is that just me?
Okay, I'm really happy that we can talk about this here because I was in the middle of writing a script for a new video talking exactly about that when yesterday the interview dropped from Phil Spencer, and then I decided to do a video on that. But I'm going to do that video because it is, I think, something that is going under in this whole excitement for next gen. But this is actually, I think, a kind of a big deal because it really changes the way how a console manufacturer approaches the whole retail business.
Yes.
We know that Sony, at least I know that they have done that here in Germany. I would assume that they have done that everywhere around the world. They are paying retailers today to, for instance, position the PlayStation 5, the PlayStation brand in the front of the of their store. So that's why you usually, when you walk into a GameStop, you first walk through the shelves of PlayStation games, and then in the backside of the store you find the Xbox shelf. Yeah, so Sony is paying them today to do that. Now Microsoft is taking a different approach. They actually make managers want or managers to sell more Xbox products, and that's something I find really, really interesting because today, of course, a GameStop manager does not care if you buy an Xbox or a PlayStation. He just wants to sell you stuff. But now, but now this is really different, and I wonder how this will change the way how Xbox products will be presented within GameStop. And I think especially outside of the core market from Microsoft, meaning the US and the UK, this is a very, very smart move because the brand is literally not known by people here in Germany or Europe. I've said this before on this show. PlayStation outsold Xbox 5-1 here. Yeah. And it's just because when you walk into a GameStop, you get they will always recommend to you the PlayStation because this is the product everyone knows. Yeah, you know what you get. It's the known brand that is associated with video games. Yeah, and this might change now. Yeah, the Xbox, the GameStop retailer, the guy who works in the store will now get a benefit if he tries to convince you to buy an Xbox. So I think this is really a big deal, or could be a big deal in the future for how they will sell those products. And one last thing before I'm done, it's also very interesting to see that they try to collaborate in selling digital products. Yeah. Well, from what I understand, or this is at least how I interpreted the articles, is that GameStop is now interested or gets extra revenue for selling digital codes. Yeah, and I can't think of any other example where a physical retailer who wants to sell you a disc and lives out of the used games business, that this guy wants to now sell digital games. This is really interesting because it really changes a lot.
It does. In fact, that's a very interesting point because what they've likely done, and I don't have the numbers, but I'm assuming, right, is that because your profit margin for Microsoft and Xbox is higher on digital, what they can do is over-incentivize digital. So really, both companies are going to make more on a digital sale than a physical sale. So I think GameStop benefits, but then Xbox continues to benefit because digital, is cheaper to produce for them, right? So it's definitely interesting. Great thoughts, though. I'm looking forward to the vid as always, man. So it's it's a very interesting thing. So Dan, did you take anything away from this?
I mean, it sounds like they're going to be moving Xbox basically from the back of the store to the front. You go to a GameStop. I mean, maybe and it's not. I mean, both really when you walk in. I mean, most of the GameStops like today, if I walk in, it's usually a couple of the kiosks with the systems in it, and then a bunch of weird collectibles, socks and shirts, and then it's like Switch stuff, like Nintendo stuff, a lot of it, and then you go to the back, it's like PlayStation and then Xbox.
Well, you remember the market here is different from
Europe
too.
Yeah, and that's just from what either the two near me are pretty much set up the same way, and so this will give them a little bit more exposure, I think, and I think it'll be good for them. They're using Microsoft products, their Surface Duos or whatever, that I'm not sure if they're just providing them for free or if they have to, like this GameStop, have to purchase like a couple pallets or whatever and distribute. It doesn't really matter, but that's also good for Microsoft because and then
costs Microsoft nothing. I mean,
literally nothing, right? Yeah. And so now they're going to be pushing. Now, what I'm curious is, like, are the actual employees going to be incentivized to push these things? Because that makes a huge difference. If it's just a manager saying, "Hey, you need to push this," or try to buy somebody's iPhone from them so we can resell it, because that's how they answer the phone now. It's like, "Hey, where we buy your old used electronics," right? And so now if they start pushing, if they give the employees some kind of incentive, I think that you might see that shift. Otherwise, I mean, no offense to anybody that's worked at GameStop, but like every time I go in, they're not like the nicest people, and they look like they hate their life, and they, this is just the ones I've been to, like you go in, it's just like, hey, yeah, we'll be with you in a minute, like kiss my ass, dude. I'm here to buy from you. You won't give me, so maybe this will give them that little incentive and push them, a little bit more. The digital stuff is, I'd like to know more about how that works. Yeah. If I'm buying an Xbox, from them, is it based on like, my Microsoft account, or is it based off of, like, how do they get that information, or is it in the code that they sell? Like if I got to put it in code for,
it's the latter.
Okay. So then, whatever, it's a little weird tracking my shit, but
when
deep into
Xbox
Google
allocates codes to digital content, they know where those codes go.
Sure. Yeah.
So GameStop will have its allocation of Xbox codes.
I mean, it's good for them, man, because the place is going to the shitter. I mean, it's GameStop. That's what I think
is interesting. It's going to be curious to see how many holes this can plug for GameStop.
Yeah. How long does this last? Like 6 months or a year? I mean, I thought they would be out of business by the end of next year. I really did. This might give them a little bit extra time, maybe. You've got so many other options now, especially with like online and buying stuff from there. And will Xbox now, say on launch day, will they be able to allocate some extra consoles to GameStop too? That might actually help them out, in the long run. They'll get those preferential bonuses or whatever. But I mean, for me, I don't buy anything from that place because I hate it and I hate the people because they're rude to me. I feel like I go in there and I know more about all this stuff, and I ask them a question like, "Hey, you're gonna get." Oh, I don't know what that means. What the hell are you working here for, man? It's like when I call like tech support for my phone. It's just like, I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm like, come on, man.
Turn it back on.
Yeah, shut up. That's why I don't like those kinds of stores and stuff. At least like Best Buy, you get like Geek Squad. They sometimes know more, but and I'm not even a tech guy, so it just bothers me. Plus, I don't buy physical discs.
You should, but that's okay. We'll cover that another time. But the other part of the digital conversation, right, is Sony stopped, and I always mix this up in my head, but they stopped selling game codes. You can get PSN credit, but you can't buy digital game codes from anyone but the PSN store. Right. So that's interesting. I don't know what is going on in chat, but I saw this comment from Bomber, and I have no idea what's happening. But who knows? The thing that people know when knowing is the root of how knowledge works, right? So if you know the knowledge, then they will all know that you know. Everyone got that?
Yep.
Now we're good.
Yep.
Okay, that clarifies it.
Now, I put this in our notes for the show because I wanted to read this on this agreement. So the other thing that really kind of came up in this, I was sent an analyst article on this deal. And so I was reading through it. The other thing, which I thought was really good timing to discuss with you, Archimedes, was they're talking about a European sell-off. So GameStop basically talking about selling off their European assets and part of that arm. Now, I don't know if that's because it could be a number of reasons. They didn't go into it, but I read this and I was literally laughing while reading it, because if you've ever been in a corporate structure and you've worked with corporate communication teams, this is the most corporate legal communication I have ever read in my entire life. And I deal with this shit on a weekly basis. Yeah. So let me just read this and you can just get lost in the hilarity of it. This is actually part of the comment that GameStop made around selling off their European business. As part of our previously announced GameStop Reboot Profit Improvement Initiative, we are evaluating future strategic and operating alternatives for certain of our unprofitable operating subsidiaries and business units that operate within our international segments. We currently believe that the aggregate amount of any potential charges associated with the disposition or wind down of certain operations under consideration, primarily relating to lease and severance obligations and accelerated depreciation and amortization, would not be material to our liquidity, results of operations, or financial condition.
What?
Okay.
That is literally someone who is like, okay, we have to put every buzzword we ever talk about in this business into a single paragraph.
Yeah.
What?
I'm trying to reread it. Like,
you really want me to comment on this?
Yeah.
So long story short, they're going to try and sell some of their European stores.
Yeah. So we're gonna basically decide, what's gonna make us money and what's not, and we'll just make that, and we'll get rid of some shit.
Yes, exactly right.
Right.
What companies do when they publish statements like this is it's a cover every base and ass statement, so that there's so much ambiguity in what they're saying that it allows them freedom to do whatever they want, because they have to make formal statements for shareholders, right? Absolutely. So what they've done, right, if they put a statement that basically covers every single possible angle that could occur, so that they can say, hey, we told you this was going to happen. It's hilarious to read this stuff.
Absolutely.
I read it, but I was literally laughing. I'm reading it and I'm like, oh my God, it's ridiculous. And Pampa just wants to add that operating of our operations will be operated to those operating on operations.
Well, that's good.
There you go.
That all said.
Yep. Nice.
All right. Anyway,
liquidity.
So Archimedes, going back to seriousness for a second, on the if they do sell this off, right? What does the retail kind of brick and mortar game store setup look like where you are in Germany? If you were to think that GameStop or whatever it is over there goes away.
Oh, I think it is relatively similar to the US, at least from what I can tell. We have GameStops just like in the US. We have a similar density, I would say. And they are, of course, the main pure gaming stores that you have. We have, for instance, I have one local retailer in my city. It's just a guy who runs his own little retro store. But and then you have these, what you call Best Buys, is for us MediaMarkt and Saturn and retailers like that. Yeah. But as a pure gaming retailer, this is basically it. Yeah, it's the biggest chain, and I think it would definitely change the way how we approach those gaming retailers today. I'm not the biggest fan of GameStop today. I used to go a lot to GameStops back in the days of the OG Xbox, for instance, when I was in the university. We had a fantastic GameStop close by to the university. I was there basically every day. I knew every guy who worked there. We just chatted about video games, and it was really, really fun. And those experiences definitely have gone. Today, GameStop has changed a lot when they started to focus on the reselling of used games, of used game discs. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how it would influence the way how we buy games, but I think the whole worldwide situation right now, with the virus, it changes so much. And this is probably the last stroke they need, because now everyone is going at least online shopping, if not digital.
Yeah, it's definitely pushing it further. I think one of the interesting things I thought about in this is if GameStop were to shut down,
to work.
Okay. All right. See if it stays.
No, and now it's frozen again.
Yeah. So refreshing, it kind of goes for a few seconds and then just it fails at the same spot. So sorry for audio listeners. We're just trying to figure out what what happened to our live stream here, which is annoying. So let's just pause for 1 second, guys. Looks like it may be coming back up now.
Yeah, it looks like it's working.
Yeah, Carl said we're back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. We didn't do anything. We didn't do anything different. It just kind of crashed on the YouTube side. No internet issues here or with us. So anyway, I will report that to StreamYard and tell them I want a refund for a year.
Yeah, that goes.
All right, so that's the topics we wanted to talk to on the news side. So, let's get to our favorite. And I don't think we were doing this segment last time Archimedes was on. So if he has something.
Has it been that long?
It's been a while.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, so we have a new segment. And if you have done this, Archimedes, tell me. But we have a new segment where we talk about what's grinding our gears. And, if you have something that has driven you crazy this week, and you want to get it off your chest, you are welcome to do that. If you don't have anything or you want to need time to think of it, we can let Dan go. He usually wants to yell about something.
Yeah.
No, I think the one thing that got on my nerves this week was this whole user interface discussion. I just found it so ridiculous, but we covered that. Yeah, so I'll leave the stage to Dan.
Fair enough. By the way, Bomber, I'm going to have to ask you to leave because you just blow streams up everywhere you go. I don't know what you're doing, but please exit the chat immediately, and I will talk to you later.
It's funny. Like this week, I don't have a whole lot, that's different than every other week. You just kind of get sick of the whole Twitterverse, and you just want to punch people in the face.
It's especially bad right now as we get close.
Yeah, really.
There's so much nonsense out there.
Yeah, I really just want to, there's like so many times where I'm just not going to look at it. Like it's when that day that stuff comes out, I'm done. I'm done with Twitter for like a week. I have no desire to be
less active there.
Yeah, it's going to be such a shit show. And it's aside from that, I don't want to talk to anybody. I really don't care what everybody else thinks. I'm going to be playing some Valhalla. I'm going to be playing some, whatever it is I'm playing.
Spider-Man,
right.
Yeah, I just thought of one thing while Dan was speaking. This was really, it's really sad that it has come to that. I don't know whether you have seen that discussion around John Linneman from Digital Foundry. I mean, the guy is one of the most reputable gaming journalists or influencers, and he's very open about his mental issues. And people really going after him like crazy for comments he made on a game that or on a platform. This is just so ridiculous, and it just shows where we are with these fanboys right now. You can't really enjoy anything anymore, and not seeing anyone trying to jump on you. Yeah, I've had that also this week. I was posting about a game I like and enjoy, and it was Final Fantasy 15, and I posted.
I saw it.
Yeah, and I posted, I like it, and about 50% of my comments were, the game sucks. Yeah, you're playing it wrong, it sucks.
You're playing it wrong.
I don't know. Yeah, and for someone who is or has mental health issues like John has, and going after him like that is just, I don't know what to think anymore of these people.
Very frustrating. Yeah, it was nice to see how many people came to his defense. To pick him back up, if you will. Yeah. But it's maddening. It's like people lose all context, and it's It's a shame. This is supposed to be a fun thing that we all share in. Doesn't matter what you're playing or what you're playing it on. It's supposed to be an enjoyable hobby. That's why we all do it. It's an entertainment.
Exactly.
To that point, here's the thing. I mean, I actually unfollowed him this week, and this is going to sound terrible, but it's not because he's a great guy and I love his videos. Part of the problem with Twitter is that you expect a certain level of responses. You shouldn't because you've seen what Twitter is. It's garbage.
I meant the same thing. You should expect assholes is what I meant.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. If you are coming on there and expecting everybody to just kiss your ass, and it's not going to happen. Yeah. With that being said, a lot of these, what I would like to see really is like IGN, Kotaku, Digital Foundry, places like that. You've got the option of not letting people reply. Make these assholes work for it. Take a screenshot, tag them, do whatever you have to do, but don't let them reply. You don't have to let them reply. Now, I know engagement is really important, but it's not, if you're having that kind of, we've talked about this before, if you're having those kind of issues in the mental health, with your mental health, then this is not the place to be, because you're going to continue to get those assholes. It doesn't excuse what these fucking people do because they're terrible. But like if I had those kind of problems, there would be no way I'd let myself even come close to that platform. You can block that kind of stuff out. You shouldn't have to, right?
No, I get what you're saying. But if you know what to expect, therefore limit the exposure.
Right. Yeah. Just get to your point where you're it's what's going to happen. You have to expect a certain amount of ass hattery from these people, and it's just going to happen. Yeah. So either ignore it or get away from it. Do whatever the hell you have to do, man, because it's so bad, and you hate to see it happen to those people, but then some people also use it for the exact opposite reason, which I also think is crazy. But if it works, I guess it works. If you're going on there to get that attention because you're not getting it where you need to be in your life, and it helps you, great. But you've really got to keep that circle small, and block and mute and
else, especially online. Yeah, there's good and bad. You just have to know how to use it for the good for whatever your needs are versus other people.
Right. We get on there, and thankfully we have a very awesome audience and a very small amount of people that will actually follow up with something negative. You don't see it a whole lot, and which is great, but we also
sorry, Dan. I was going to say part of that reason is because we don't allow it to breathe, right? Anyone who responds to us negatively, we completely ignore them and just move on.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what you have to do, and it's
different to other people. Yeah,
you're right. Yeah,
it doesn't bother you, but other people, they are more.
They're more sensitive.
They're more sensitive. Exactly.
And that's okay. Yeah, and you've got to expect that. That's why, as a person, you don't come out and say, like if I could say something to Ains that you may not be able to say to you, right? But because I know him, and I know where
Shut up, fucker.
Yeah,
sorry.
exactly.
It just came out. Sorry.
No, but you've also got to know that if you're just going on there and just randomly, going after somebody because you don't like their opinion, I think it was all about how Digital Foundry, loves this console over this other console. I mean, that's ridiculous. I mean, that's a that person problem, and the only way you can deal with that is blocking that person or ignoring them. But we continue to I've gotten my account down to where it's now, I don't see it as much. I did see that, but you don't give these people the time of day, don't give them what they want. That's what these people feed on. I've said it 1,000 times. If you stop giving the fire oxygen, it eventually dies out, and that's it. So just, Twitter's a terrible place. It's a gross.
Not that bad.
It's gross. It's disgusting. I would say 70-80% of it's disgusting.
Half the guys in chat I met.
But that's right. But like I said, you got to keep that circle small, right? And pick and kind of cherry pick the ones that there are so many people outside. Right. But I don't talk to anybody outside either. I mean, if I'm following you, it's like, just understand that I follow very, very little people. So it's less than 200, I think. And most of them are like news outlets. So it's to the point where I just cannot stand, that. I can't stand when people talk about fanboys, complaining about them. It doesn't make any sense to me. It just doesn't make any sense. Like, if you're complaining about somebody else complaining, you're on the wrong side of the argument, right? Like, if you say, okay, well, these fanboys are out here saying this, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. Don't tell them that. Don't say that these guys are saying this stuff, because it doesn't matter in the end. It shouldn't matter to you. Shouldn't matter to anybody else, because you're just giving them more life indirectly. I don't know. My timeline has been awesome lately. Like, I don't know what I did, but I've eliminated pretty much everybody.
And suddenly,
yeah, I just unfollowed like 60 people. I was like, this is great. This is fantastic.
So I was going to say that I have to just comment again on, my favorite thing that seems to come up every week now, and that is the old listen to what is said, not what you want to hear.
Oh, geez.
So the one thing that drove me crazy this week was because Kotaku yesterday ran with an interview with Phil Spencer, right?
Love that
guy. With Phil Spencer. And very insightful comments, and that's what I like, right? Very insightful comments. He answered some unique questions around the future, and of course the Bethesda acquisition came up, et cetera, et cetera. And basically the question he was asked was, do you need to sell games on the PS5, games like Elder Scrolls 6, to recoup the $7.5 billion investment? Now, let me be clear. Whoever the interview was, and I haven't even looked, so I'm probably about to insult someone. It's a stupid question. It's a stupid question. The answer, you didn't even need to ask Phil that. The answer is no. You don't need to put the games on PlayStation to recoup the investment. You don't.
You literally don't have to put them on Xbox.
No, you could.
Microsoft could literally recoup all that money back without the Xbox platform.
And Phil was very clear. If you read his statement, he said, I'm answering the question you asked me. No. And, the plan was not to take games away from gamers. But no, I do not have to put games on other platforms. We have Xbox, PC, mobile, xCloud. So, of course, it's a direct question. It's a direct answer. Phil is very direct, and Phil is very meaningful when he speaks. Mm-hmm. Every word that comes out of his mouth to answers like this are calculated, right? And they have to be. He's the goddamn leader of a huge organization. But of course, immediately what you saw was all the usual suspects running with, I told you every single game is going to be exclusive. I told you, Bethesda, this is what I said. Everyone's idiots who didn't think. And it's like, again, it's not what he said. And I'm, again, not saying that they won't be. I think there's a good chance they will be exclusive. But that's not what he said. For God's sakes, listen to what is said.
Right, man. I'm with you on that one. That's always been a big thing for me. It's always like, literally, I think I tweeted out, oh, here we go again yesterday. It's just like, I understand. And I am on the side of, these games are probably going to be exclusive. We can probably bet.
I think most of us feel that way. That exclusivity matters, because it's all going back to where is it? Why exclusivity matters? Ecosystem.
Right. Ecosystem. But it's just, but you cannot, here's the thing. The way I look at it is, they never had to put, it would even cross their mind. It made no sense. Of course they don't have to put their games on PlayStation. No. They don't have to.
That's why
make their money back. It's a dumb question. Yeah. All right. It's more of a fanboy question. So here's the thing. You know what? If they don't have to, it's Kotaku. Why even, but what it boils down to for me, if you really kind of dig into it, is, is it going to hurt them more to put it on, say, PlayStation than it would be to not? And that is not, and that's what they're going to kind of come up with. Now, game development obviously takes long, so you're going to have to, but it's also not, I think it's complicated putting it on like another system, especially something like, in a year's time, where you can go, okay, well, here's Fallout 5 or whatever, and it's exclusive to Xbox. And that's all you got to say. You don't even have to say it's coming to. You can do the Sony thing, right? And then here comes Horizon Zero Dawn is going to be on PC. Nobody, we might have seen it coming, but they didn't say anything about it.
Sure.
They just said,
they know what their long-term plans are.
Right. Sure. And then, a year later, all of a sudden it's like, hey, guess what? Fallout 6 is going to be on the PlayStation. What? I wonder if people will feel betrayed if they do that. Super angry. Don't be angry because you've played it already. You've enjoyed it. They can do whatever the hell they want. And Phil knows more than, like I've said before, knows more than all of us. So, and it could be a lot of PR speak. We have no idea. All I know is what he said. And one of those words is these are going to be exclusive to the system, even though we probably can guess that it would be.
Yes.
Right.
Which is fine.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I'm with you, man.
And it's fine to speculate. It's fine to talk about it like we're doing right now. Don't mandate like you're making a definitive statement. No definitive statement has been made.
You need those clicks.
Anyway, let me, Archimedes, before you comment on that, give me 1 second. So, Bad Bit, what's up, brother? Good to see you. Trophy Room, PlayStation shows in the house. I did miss some super chats right when the stream crashed, Bomber. I did see that you threw us a super chat, but I can't even see it right now on my connection here. So thank you very much. I don't know if you did that to try and distract us from you blowing up the stream. But
he came in and just like, I'm going to super chat and then everything's going to go to hell. Watch this.
Watch this. Yep. Carl's in the house too. What's up, Carl? It says, done. I think he meant to say Dan. I don't know if he's on a phone. Only follows carnivores. This is back when you were talking about your follower list, by the way.
This is true.
Yep. Thank you for the $4.99. I don't know what that symbol is in front of the 4. That's just weird to me. No, I'm kidding.
What is that?
That's the pounds, British pounds. Stop it. Don't be naive.
I don't know what the hell this stuff is.
And then Bizzle, to your point as well. Bizzle, thank you very much. $10 super chat. If not for Twitter, I wouldn't have met all you great people or even heard about
100%. Yep.
Yeah,
you gotta keep that. You gotta keep that circle small, buddy. That's all I'm telling you. Keep it tight. Keep it tight. You don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. So anyway, Archimedes, anything to say on that? It's something I've been preaching about for weeks now. Is people take a single quote, right, and they turn it into something that it's not, and it's just personally for me, it drives me crazy. I hate when people make assumptions and drive forward with a narrative that never was actually created.
Yeah. Funny you bring that up. I dropped the video earlier today, exactly on that topic.
Oh man.
And so I do a little advertisement here. Yeah, go watch the video.
You're fine. You're fine.
Picture. No, I mean, yes, he didn't really confirm the games being exclusive. He never said that, but it's pretty much close to it.
It's about as close as you can get to saying it without saying it.
Pretty much.
Yeah, without saying it, and especially at this point of the deal, because the deal isn't sealed yet.
Correct.
That's part of it, yeah.
Before they haven't really implemented the ZeniMax Studios into the Xbox ecosystem. They won't comment on that in a 100% way, but I think this is more or less the confirmation that they will bring certain games as exclusives. And I've said it before, it only makes sense because they have a lot of games as service titles now, like Elder Scrolls Online, Fallout 76, and they have also a lot of mobile games now. 2 of those studios they acquired with the ZeniMax acquisition do mobile games. So of course those will stay multi-plats. But then you have the Elder Scrolls 6 and Doom and Wolfenstein and so on, those type of games. And yeah, of course they will become ecosystem exclusives. I mean, this is what he basically confirmed, or more or less, or we're assuming he confirmed. The thing is, I find it really weird that people are really arguing about this, because, well, what was the narrative the whole generation? Xbox has no games. Yeah. Now they have games, and everyone is afraid that they can't play their games. And
not this guy.
Yeah, me neither. But this is basically what I got out of this statement and from Phil is, hey, if you want to play a Bethesda game, you don't have to buy an Xbox console. Play it on your phone, play it on PC, play it on your refrigerator. I mean, I don't know if you've seen that video going through Twitter where a guy is playing on a Android-based smart refrigerator Doom. Yeah. So
awesome. We were joking that Skyrim on a fridge is now reality. You can actually play Skyrim on your fridge.
Yeah, and very soon you will have that xCloud app on your smart TV and wherever you have a display. And that's basically where you can play all these games. I find it funny that people really think Microsoft invested $7.5 billion and not use or leverage that to grow their ecosystem. That's just ridiculous.
Ecosystem. I love it. It's catching on. I love it.
Oh man.
No, but it's So
it's an interesting topic to tackle. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, I think everybody's pretty sure what's going to happen, you know, but also putting words, you know, I mean, you kind of breaking it down, you know, you could deduce out of what they said. And he said some other things in there that would point to it too, you know, like their Switch thing. And, you know, when he talked about Nintendo Switch, and it's all interesting stuff, but at the same time, they can do basically whatever they want. You know, this is such a small portion of their, you know, net income over a year that it's, you know, they could put it on PlayStation and not have it hurt their ecosystem, you know, because people, you know, he's like, yeah, you can go ahead and buy it over here. That's fine.
And make it do it.
Right. Yeah. It's going to depend on the market at the time. You know, the gamble, I think, is xCloud right now. And that's, you know, still don't know. Yeah, that's a multi-billion dollar industry, right? But, you know, it's still relatively new. So, you know, you have to see how that, you know, turns into, or whatever it turns into later on down the road. And really, they don't even have to sell their consoles because, you know, at least initially, they're going to lose a lot of money on them. Not a lot, but, you know, over time, you know, maybe it comes cheaper. The parts become cheaper. They don't lose as much money on their hardware, you know. So when we talked to Jez about that, it's like, you know, they'd rather you not. They want you in Game Pass, you know.
Game Pass is highly more profitable for sure.
Oh yeah, totally is. So that's where, you know, they're going to push it. You know, now what, you know, to me, I mean, I don't know why I'm getting into this, but it's always like, you know, is this going to force more people to get into Game Pass and buy a Series S maybe, or use it on their phone than it would if you know, just released it on a different system? That's what I think it's going to come down to for them, you know, because they don't care, you know, because they're not competing with Sony. They said it themselves, you know. You know, I'm more interested in seeing what Luna does and what they can do with it, you know, and what Stadia can do.
There's lunatics going.
Yeah, I'm ready, man.
Yeah, I said it. Console wars are over. We are talking streaming wars now.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how it goes, man, because, you know,
and
I hate to lose my hardware, but, you know, whatever.
Yeah, I'm not at that point where I say, oh, I want to have a streaming future. I love my hardware. No. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for that technology and have the most powerful console in my home and so on. But if you think about it, I think it's $6 for Luna in the US. It's $5 here, Germany.
For the introductory period.
Right.
Yeah. But now I'm browsing through my Amazon Prime app on my smart TV. Yeah. And then this comes up. This is basically the price I have to pay to rent a movie on Amazon.
Yep.
Yeah. For the price of one rental movie, I can get 1 month of games, hundreds of games. And yes, we can talk about exclusives or not, but to the casual gamer, this whole idea of, oh, we need an exclusive game for my platform that I can't play. They don't care. They don't even know what an exclusive is.
Sure,
they just see, poof, I don't know what to watch anymore. But for $5, I can check this out. This is really an interesting approach. The most interesting approach from Luna right now is the price point they are positioning themselves. I think Stadia has potential. Technology is great. They just have to rethink their whole business strategy a little bit. And the approach from Microsoft is, of course, deliver value. with the streaming service. You get a lot of great value there, but it's also $15 a month. So there's a very different entry level for price, because I think more about 15 euros than I do for 5 euros.
Sure.
That's just a difference. And so this will really be interesting to see how this will turn out. And I think this will drive a lot of conversation in a year or 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, good conversation, guys. Cyber, thanks for stopping by, brother. Leo said console wars, streaming wars, war never changes.
Oh, man.
True.
But it's true, and we've talked about this topic at length, right? We kind of got that our rant took us to a more interesting topic than the rant itself.
That's what we do here at Season Game.
We're evolving in front of your eyes. Oh man. All right. So, but yeah, I this is why we can talk about it all day, right? Because gaming's just interesting and
absolutely
it's rapidly changing. So, all right, let's talk about new games, man. New releases, updates, currently playing. What do you guys, Archimedes? What have you been up to? Final Fantasy 15, I know, is one of them, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's basically consuming most of my time. I'm also playing the Kingdom of Amalur remaster.
Okay.
Yeah, the game is still great because it was a very underrated game back in the day when it released. But the remaster itself, I don't know really what they remastered it.
Yep. About it. Yeah.
So, but I'm also playing a little bit of that. I'm still hooked on Tony Hawk.
Cool.
There is no day without at least a 15-minute session of Tony Hawk for me. Yeah, and then I'm on the Mario 64 train again. That game also has me hooked again. It's just one of the best games ever made.
One of the most influential games ever made, too. Yeah,
definitely.
Great. Starboy Matt, what's going on, guys? Thanks for joining. Dan, what you been up to, man? Anything good?
Yeah, I've been playing what was it? That Crash 4. Getting mad. Getting very, very angry. Gosh, dude, I swear to God, the game it's so nice and fun to look at, and it's fun to play, but there are times where I just want to, like, not since I was a child did I ever have the urge to throw the controller through my TV, but now I appreciate the value of things, so I don't want to put a hole in my TV. It's super good, super well done. It's not, you really play it just kind of for the story, not for the story, but for just the the experience. It's a really good platformer. So I've been playing a lot of that, and then I got into that Ghost of Tsushima Legends yesterday a little bit, and there's a kind of a small tutorial, and it looks like there's some storylines. I haven't played it with anybody yet because I refuse to play with randoms. But it's cool. I think it makes me want to go back and play another round of Ghost of Tsushima, but I'm trying to hold off. And
gotta hold up for that 60 FPS, man.
I know, but it's so good.
To replay that there.
Yeah. But it seems like, it's a nice free add-on, so I think it'd be really fun with some co-op players and trying it out. You kind of pick.
Let's get at it on the PS5.
Yeah, let me know, man.
Before the 19th.
Yeah, 100%. But other than that, not much. You know what I've been doing a lot lately? Watching House. Remember House?
Yeah,
House MD. God, I love that show.
Yeah.
God, I love that show, man. He's such an asshole, and I really appreciate him. I think the way he treats people. I wish I could do that and not feel bad about it like he does.
That's why it's a TV show.
Yeah.
Badbit said he's playing it right now.
Give me about 30 minutes, man, and I'll hit you up because I'm down.
There you go. Bizzle reminded me that Torchlight 3 came out this week too.
Yes, it did. I bought it. I bought it. I did. I bought the damn good thing. You know what I also bought? Fucking, and you laugh at this right now. I think it was Leo that said G.I. Joe. I bought it. I haven't played it yet. I don't know why I do this stuff to myself.
I did the same thing. I bought Torchlight 3 because a buddy of mine, he said, "Oh, you gotta get that game. It's great. We have to play it in co-op." So I bought it, but I haven't played it yet.
Yep. 2 games sitting there.
I love Torchlight, but I know I don't have time to play it right now. So,
damn it.
Yeah, I didn't buy it, but I am interested to see if it's really good. Bizzle, if you want to comment, I don't know if it's any good. Hit us up. What else was I going to comment on? Oh, Katana Zero was added to Game Pass, which I know
some of that too. Yeah.
Some people have really raved about that game. I didn't play it when it released. It released on the Switch originally, right? On PC?
Yep.
Okay. So on Game Pass now, it's a 2D action game?
Yeah, it's kind of like you play through it, you get like each little section of a level it's timed, and like if you die, it's like one hit, one kill.
Okay.
And you try to get through it, and it kind of shows you your replay as this little section every time. You can do it different ways. It kind of shows you, you can throw stuff. There's a ton of stuff to do. It's super fun, and the music is really cool. I think that's one of the things that people liked about it was just kind of the background music that plays, while you're playing. It's a super fun little game, and on Game Pass, it's awesome. I mean,
I downloaded it. I have yet to play it, but I downloaded that. And Xenocrisis. I got into a conversation with Elu on Twitter the other day because he made a comment that was out of Smash TV. You guys like Smash TV back in the day?
Yeah, I love Smash. Played at the arcades.
Yeah, it was better in the arcade, but it was on Super Nintendo too.
Really? I never heard of it.
Never heard of it?
Nope.
It's a isometric shooter, basically. We're on a futuristic game show where you basically just have to kill all these machines and robots coming at you room by room to try and get through this game show and earn money and prizes. It was almost like a parody on a future where everyone just is focused on, money. Basically, you just want money. But it was just really fun. It was like a twin stick shooter, right? You just run around and shoot like bullet hell type shooter. But anyway, I commented on it, and as a developer, I think of Xenocrisis, which is another game on Game Pass, commented. He's like, if you aren't aware, we have this game. It's also on Game Pass. So I downloaded that to try, but I haven't played it either. So may check that out. But Smash TV was the bomb. If you haven't played that, man, big money, big prizes. There you go. See, Walter gets it. It had an announcer, like as you're like about to die, there's an announcer screaming out big money, big prizes and stuff. It's hilarious. And then I'm playing a lot of NHL 21, which I've said before, I don't think much of our audience really cares about NHL 21, so I won't talk too much about it. But it's really, really good if you like NHL games. A lot of things this year, a lot of different ways to play. So if you like the card trading game, Hut, Hockey Ultimate Team, you can play that, and there's tons of different challenges and packs and cards and all this stuff you can do, and you don't really need to spend money. Then there's the online stuff with your friends, and there's all the competition modes. There's just a million ways to play it. So very, very cool. Really enjoying that. I may do a review or a write-up on it. We'll see, just for the hell of it. But yeah, good stuff. So Crash,
what made me really happy this week, the announcement from Double Fine that Day of the Tentacle comes to Game Pass.
Yes. In fact, 3 of their classic point-and-click adventure games.
Grim Fandango, and what was the third one? I can't recall right now, but there were 3 games. But Day of the Tentacle is the one that stood out to me. I love that game. I can't wait to play it again.
And Full Throttle.
Yep. Full Throttle.
Yep. So that's awesome, man. Super excited. Yeah. I that's one of the really neat things about the whole Xbox first party growing the way it's growing, right? With companies like Double Fine and now Bethesda, is if you're a Game Pass subscriber, man, it's like starting to become like Christmas every month, and that's exactly what they want to do, right? Is that every month there's new offerings and new things that you get excited about. But it's cool that they're not only doing it for new games, but they're really going into the libraries of these developers and just throwing everything in there. Because Brutal Legend was added, last week?
Yeah, right. Yeah, true.
Yeah, it's awesome. I love it. So anyway, man. All right. It's been a great show. I did not realize we've actually been going for over 2 hours. So love the conversation. So let's go ahead and close this out. Got a few things to mention about the site, but Archimedes, before we do that, of course, as I said, you're always welcome here. Love having you on. Our audience already probably follows, knows you and everything. But for the listeners and anyone else that may be new to the show, give us a shout out where we can find you.
Yeah, first of all, thanks for having me again on the show. I'm always having a blast here. It's just so good to talk to people that just enjoy gaming and not the drama around it. That's why I really, really like to be on the show here. You can find me at Boxenberger basically everywhere, on YouTube, Twitter, PlayStation Now, PlayStation Network, on Xbox Live, and so on, everywhere. Boxenberger. and especially give my YouTube channel a try. It's not a news channel, it's more a commentary channel. I cover different topics of the video game industry with a video once per week, sometimes twice a week. And if you like that kind of content, check it out.
Very good. Yep. And yeah, you just said it, but I'll reiterate. Your video production is fantastic, man.
Yeah,
it really.
Thank you.
It's excellent, and I love that. You've grown it, and people are appreciating it. So congrats on that. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Dan, what you up to, man?
Chilling? Shit, man. Really, I got nothing going on. It's Saturday, and I'm relaxing a little bit.
Saturday, and we can't go anywhere because our entire area is coronavirus heavy.
Yeah, I'm actually going somewhere away from this place, so it's going to be away from everybody, basically.
There you go.
You're just a little bit, so.
Right now.
Yep.
So cool. Well, if you follow the site, so a lot of content this week. I think we did like 4 game reviews. One of them was the lowest score we've ever given a game in our 5-year history.
Fantastic.
It's a hilarious review that Steve did for us. If you haven't checked that out, it's called Dust Off Z. It's just a review that's worth reading if you're not interested in the game because it's so funny the way he wrote it. A couple articles. We got articles coming this week from Steve. I think Carl's writing a nice article as well. There's just a lot going on with the site. I also did a video on this bad girl right here. So this is the Lilith statue from Blizzard Collectibles for Diablo 4. I did the unboxing, kind of full detailed review of that on our channel this week. So check that out if you haven't. And then a lot going on with next gen. So, over the next couple of weeks, obviously there'll be a lot of coverage on that stuff and a lot of things upcoming. So just stay tuned. But as always, thank you guys, chat. You've been awesome as always. Really appreciate you guys. Thanks to everyone tuning in. Love, how many audio listeners. It's growing and growing. So love seeing that. Sorry about the little hiccup midstream today. Don't know what happened there, but regardless, thanks as always. That was Bitcast 127, and we will see you next week. Oh no, Dan, the outro.